Have you ever looked around and wondered, if everything fell apart tomorrow, who would still be standing beside you? Not just when it's easy, not when you're smiling, successful, and full of energy, but in your darkest hour, when there's nothing left to gain from you. That's when the truth shows. And for most people, the truth is painful. No one is really your friend. Not the way you think, not in the way you hope. People don't love you. They love how you make them feel. They love your light when it brightens their world. But when that light dims, when you need help instead of giving it, silence follows. That's not friendship. That's convenience. And you need to stop mistaking one for the other. You keep giving. You keep showing up. You keep hoping that loyalty will be returned, that kindness will be recognized. But it rarely is. Because the world doesn't reward purity. It tests it. It takes from it. People smile to your face and question your every move behind your back. They praise you in public and compete with you in private. That's not support. That's strategy. And the sooner you accept that, the stronger you'll become. This is not a call to hate. This is a call to wake up, because you've been asleep, dreaming that everyone who claps is cheering for you. But some are just clapping because they think you'll fall next. And that applause? It gets loudest when you're not around. You've been trained to believe that having many friends means you're doing something right. But sometimes, being surrounded means you're just being used. Look deeper. Who checks on you when you're silent? Who celebrates you when you're not useful? Who defends you when you're not in the room? If the answer makes you pause, then it's time to reevaluate what friendship really means. The world will not warn you when betrayal is coming. It will smile. It will charm. It will say all the right things until you're no longer beneficial. And then it vanishes. That's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to learn. There's freedom in knowing the truth, power in seeing things clearly. When you stop depending on others for validation, support, or identity, you start becoming unstoppable. No more being fooled by words. No more being trapped by false loyalty. You start choosing peace over presence, silence over shallow praise. And that's when life changes. That's when your mind sharpens. That's when your spirit hardens, not bitter but bulletproof. Because you finally understand not everyone who's near you is with you, and not everyone who smiles is safe. So stay. Watch this to the end. Because the truth you're about to uncover will burn away the lies you've believed for too long. It will strip away illusions and give you something far greater than friendship. It will give you clarity. And with clarity comes control. Not over others, but over yourself. Over your energy, over your peace, over your future. No one is your friend. Be careful, but don't be afraid. Be ready. You've been warned your whole life to be kind, to be giving, to be there for people no matter what. And you listened. You made excuses for their silence. You tolerated their absence. You let disrespect slide because you believed that being a good person meant accepting mistreatment in silence. But now you know better. Now you see that the more you gave, the more they took, and the less they respected you. Because that's how it works. People don't value what they don't have to earn. They don't treasure what's always available. The more you lowered your standards to keep them close, the more they looked down on you. The more you showed up unconditionally, the more they expected it like a right, not a gift. That's not your fault. But if you keep doing it, it becomes your choice. You must unlearn what the world taught you about being liked. Because being liked is not the goal. Being respected is. And sometimes to be respected, you have to draw the line so sharply that people bleed when they try to cross it. You have to stop smiling at those who silently hope you fail. You have to stop opening your arms to those who bring you poison dressed as love. You are not weak for setting boundaries. You are not cruel for walking away. You are finally protecting what should have never been so exposed. Your peace, your heart, your time, your presence. There is a cost to always being the one who understands, the one who forgives, the one who stays. That cost is your emotional energy, your sanity, and eventually your self-worth. If you don't guard yourself, the world will consume you and still say you weren't enough. And the worst part, they'll walk away without guilt. Because you allowed it, you tolerated it, you trained them that it was okay. But now, that ends. Now, you rise. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they knew you at a different stage of your life. Growth demands isolation. Protection demands distance, and peace demands sacrifice. If that means fewer friends, let it be. If that means being misunderstood, let it be. Because your life was never meant to be a public service. It was meant to be a mission that only you can complete, and not everyone can come along. Every time you withhold your energy from the ungrateful, you reclaim your power. Every time you stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you, you elevate. Every time you say no, you heal. And that healing will offend the ones who benefited from your brokenness. Let it offend. Let it burn. Because what rises from those ashes will be a version of you that no longer begs to be seen, heard, or accepted. You are not here to make everyone comfortable. You are here to become someone unstoppable. Let them call you cold. Let them call you selfish. But watch how peace begins when your boundaries become non-negotiable. Most people don't want you to grow. Not really. They say they do, but deep down, your evolution threatens their comfort. Because when you change, they're forced to confront their own stagnation. When you start demanding more, they realize they gave you less. When you rise, they feel exposed. And instead of cheering, they get quiet. Instead of supporting, they step back. This is the moment you must stop expecting applause. Growth is lonely. Not because you're unlovable, but because the ones who once claimed to care only knew how to love the version of you that didn't challenge their limits. The quieter you become, the louder the truth gets. You start to see who clung to your wounds and who celebrated your healing. And sadly, most were just loyal to your pain. You owe it to yourself to stop shrinking. Stop lowering your volume so others feel more secure. Stop laughing at things that don't amuse you. Stop tolerating company that drains you just to avoid being alone. There is no strength in staying where you're not seen. There is no peace in blending into rooms that suffocate your potential. You are not meant to be understood by those who refuse to grow. You are not required to make sense to the same people who benefit from your silence. You are here to rise, to evolve, to become something that even your past self wouldn't recognize. But you can't do that if you're still trying to fit into circles that never had the capacity to hold you. They liked you more when you were uncertain, when you questioned your worth, when you needed their approval to feel complete. But now you walk different. You speak different. You see things they pretend not to notice. And that threatens the foundation of every fake connection. Don't apologize for it. Don't explain it. Just keep going. Your progress is not a betrayal. Their discomfort is not your burden. When they fall away, let them. That's not loss. That's clarity. That's the universe subtracting what you were too scared to remove yourself. Real power is quiet. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It doesn't announce. It just moves. It builds. It protects. And it never forgets. Every lie told, every promise broken, every time they disappeared when you needed them most. Keep it. Not to become bitter, but to become wiser. Not to hate, but to heal correctly. So you never again confuse someone's temporary attention for permanent loyalty. Let that silence teach you more than their words ever could. You've spent too long proving yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. It ends now. Your life is too precious to be negotiated for crumbs. Raise your price. Set your standard. Keep your peace sacred. The ones who deserve you will never need to be convinced. And the ones who don't, let them walk away without a second thought. Because the more you release, the lighter you become. And the lighter you become, the higher you rise. There's a shift that happens when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop justifying your boundaries, when you stop giving warnings before walking away. You realize that your energy is a currency and not everyone can afford it. You no longer entertain confusion from those who are never confused, only manipulative. You no longer respond to silence with panic. You meet it with peace, because now you understand that not everyone deserves a front row seat to your evolution. Some only came to witness your failure, not your rise. And if they didn't clap when you struggled, they don't get to celebrate when you overcome. Let that truth settle in your spirit. Let it become your filter. You are not responsible for how others feel about your growth. You are not here to make others comfortable with your glow. Every time you suppress your light to make someone else feel secure, you abandon the version of you that fought to exist. And that version deserves more. That version deserves space, to be protected, to be seen, not by everyone, but by the right ones. And most importantly, by you. You're not difficult for needing space. You're not selfish for wanting peace. You're not cold for being selective. That's not toxicity. That's maturity. That's healing. That's learning how to love yourself in a world that profits off your self-neglect. Stop feeling guilty for outgrowing people who had the chance to grow with you. You didn't change too fast, they just refused to move. You didn't become distant. You finally realized you were never that close. When you pull back and nothing changes, understand it was never mutual. When your silence doesn't echo back to you, accept that the connection was one-sided. That's not sadness. That's freedom. That's evidence. That's the kind of clarity you used to beg for, and now it's here. Don't fight it. Receive it. The moment you stop chasing, everything begins to shift. You become a magnet for peace, for strength, for alignment. Your soul starts attracting people who see you, not your image, not your usefulness, but your essence. And until that happens, walk alone. Walk with purpose. Walk with the unshakable, knowing that isolation is often the cost of transformation. You're not behind. You're not missing out. You're shedding layers that can't follow you to your next chapter. Let go of the need to be understood. Most people can't even understand themselves. Let go of the desire to be liked. Popularity is not purpose. Approval is not love. Choose silence over noise, solitude over chaos, elevation over validation. Because when you no longer need them, you become dangerous. Not reckless, but untouchable. Not arrogant, but unshakable. You start to realize that the fewer people around you, the less noise in your head and the more peace in your heart. That's when you're ready. Not to fight the world, but to master yourself. And once you do, no one can take that from you. Not a friend, not a stranger, not even your past. You don't need to announce your worth. You only need to believe in it so deeply that others feel it without you saying a word. That kind of power doesn't come from noise. It comes from restraint, from knowing what to ignore, from choosing not to react when they provoke you, not because you're weak, but because your peace matters more than their chaos. Every time you stay silent when they expect you to break, you remind them and yourself that you've outgrown the games, the manipulation, the emotional traps that once kept you small. You don't need revenge. You need discipline, because nothing is louder than a person who no longer flinches when tested. When you stop reacting, you stop giving people power they never deserved. Let them misinterpret you. Let them talk. Let them create their stories in the dark. You don't owe anyone a performance. You don't owe anyone proof of your intentions. The ones meant for you will know, and the ones who don't, let them fall away. Their confusion is not your responsibility. Their discomfort with your boundaries is not your burden. You didn't come this far to keep explaining your soul to those committed to misunderstanding it. There is peace in not participating, in not responding to every insult, in not defending yourself against every lie. People will believe what they want to believe because often the truth threatens the version of you they created in their mind. Let them keep that version. You're not here to be decoded, debated, or dissected. You're here to be free, to walk in truth, to grow in silence, to build in private, not because you're hiding, but because you've learned the value of quiet strength. When your life becomes sacred, so does your energy. You stop showing up where you're not respected. You stop offering your heart to those who treat it like an option. You stop trying to be enough for people who were never meant to receive you. This is how you take your power back, by realizing you never lost it. You just forgot where you placed it. You gave pieces of it away every time you tried to be everything for everyone, every time you dimmed yourself to fit in, every time you bit your tongue to keep the peace. But peace that cost your truth is just another form of bondage. And now you're done with that. You're done abandoning yourself to make others feel whole. You're done shrinking so others won't feel small. You're done living a life edited for approval. You were never meant to be ordinary. You were never meant to blend in. You were built to stand out, to walk alone if you must, to hold your head high even when the world turns cold. Not because it's easy, but because you finally see it clearly. No one is your friend. Be careful. Trust slowly. Move wisely. Protect your peace like it's all you have, because in the end it is. And now you choose to guard it with everything you've got. It's not about being cold. It's about being clear. You're not here to play a role in someone else's illusion. You're not here to beg for loyalty, to fight for bare minimums, to prove your worth to people who are blind to it. You've already done that. You've poured into others until you were empty. You've been available to people who vanished when it was your turn to need. And now you're no longer bitter about it. You're awake. You're done mislabeling attachment as love, attention as care, and proximity as loyalty. The lesson was hard, but it carved wisdom into your bones. And now you walk differently, not with arrogance, but with intention. Your silence now is not weakness. It's alignment. It's you reclaiming your space from the noise, your time from the distractions, your energy from the takers. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone qualifies for your vulnerability. You don't owe your openness to those who've only shown up to benefit from it. Let them think you've changed. Let them say you've grown distant. That's what happens when you start valuing yourself. Your standards rise, your circle tightens, your energy becomes sacred. And when that shift begins, the wrong people always fall off. let them. The ones who love the old version of you, the one who tolerated everything, the one who questioned their own worth, the one who stayed too long in places they should have walked away from, will miss that version. But that version had to die for the new you to be born. And this new you is no longer accessible by default. You don't explain your moves. You don't chase apologies. You don't entertain disrespect with explanations. You protect your mind, your spirit, and your path like your life depends on it. Because it does. There will be moments of loneliness, moments where you question the silence, the distance, the path you've chosen. But hold the line. Do not go back to what broke you just because it's familiar. Do not invite old chaos just to avoid feeling alone. Solitude is not punishment, it's preparation. It's where you meet yourself without the noise. It's where you build clarity, strength, and standards that no one can shake. Let the silence teach you. Let the stillness sharpen you. Let the space you've created breathe power into your next level. Every time you refuse to entertain the wrong energy, you say yes to something greater. Every time you walk away from what insults your soul, you walk closer to peace. This is the version of you that doesn't settle, the version that doesn't beg, the version that doesn't break for people who wouldn't lift a hand to catch you. Stand firm, stay grounded. Keep your back straight and your heart guarded. The world is watching, but more importantly, you're watching yourself now. And the respect you give yourself sets the tone for how the world will respond. From this moment forward, let your silence speak louder than their noise. Let your boundaries echo louder than their excuses. Let your presence become your power. You're no longer available to people who drain you. You're no longer reachable by those who only call when they need something. You're not the same version of yourself who tolerated half-effort, accepted empty words, and made space for those who never made space for you. That version of you was kind, but unguarded. Strong, but unprotected. Giving, but neglected. Now, you've learned that being good doesn't mean being naive. That being caring doesn't mean being used. That being there for everyone isn't noble. It's dangerous when it costs you your peace. You've been taught to be selfless, but never taught where to draw the line. Now you draw it in stone. It doesn't matter who doesn't understand. It doesn't matter who gets uncomfortable when you say no. You are not here to please, fix, or rescue anyone who refuses to grow. You are here to evolve, to protect your energy, and to be in alignment with your own truth. If that means walking away from people you once loved, then walk. If that means being alone for a season to rebuild your identity, then stay alone. Not every connection is meant to last. Some were only meant to reveal what you needed to heal. Some came to expose what you believed you deserved. And when the lesson is done, so is their access. You must stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. The world will call you selfish for not sacrificing your mental health, your time, your peace. Let them. That judgment is not your weight to carry. People love you most when you're easy to use, when you expect little, when you question nothing. But the moment you set a boundary, the moment you stop overgiving, the moment you reclaim your worth, they call you difficult. That's the price of freedom. Being misunderstood by those who never truly saw you. Let it go. The need to explain, the urge to defend, the desire to be liked. It's exhausting trying to maintain a version of yourself that keeps others comfortable. Drop it. You were not created to fit into small minds, broken circles, or selfish agendas. You were made to stand alone if necessary, to be whole on your own, to lead yourself without applause. That's real power. That's the kind of strength no one can take from you. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's silent. It's still. It's unshakable. There will be days when your silence is louder than your words, days when your absence will scream louder than your presence ever did. Let it. Because when people can no longer reach you, they finally realize what they lost. But by then, it won't matter. You'll be too far ahead, too focused, too free. You're not the one who needs to change anymore. You're the one who finally did. So guard your heart, sharpen your mind, and stay grounded in truth. You've already paid the price. Now move like you own everything they once tried to control. The most dangerous thing you can do is keep handing your heart to people who treat it like a convenience. You cannot keep living your life hoping others will one day value what they constantly overlook. You cannot keep repeating the same cycle of being there for those who disappear the moment you fall silent. You are not here to beg for love, chase attention, or convince anyone of your worth. The moment you stop proving yourself is the moment you begin to step into real power. When you no longer seek validation, you free yourself from the prison of expectation. And in that freedom, you remember who you are without their opinions clouding your vision. You've spent enough time being available for people who never showed up for you. You've given enough energy to conversations that left you empty. Now it's time to take all of that power back. Not by becoming bitter, not by becoming cruel, but by becoming selective, intentional, unreachable to those who only show up when it serves them. You are not responsible for fixing what you didn't break. You are not obligated to entertain anyone's confusion about your growth. When someone shows you their comfort with your pain, believe them. When someone disappears during your darkness, let them stay gone when your light returns. Protect yourself, not just from harm, but from distraction, from noise disguised as care, from people who mimic love but never embody it. Guard your time like it's your last breath. Guard your peace like it's the key to your future, because it is. Your silence, your standards, your solitude, these are not signs of weakness. They are signs of evolution. You are no longer accessible to everyone because not everyone has the right to experience the new you. This version of you knows how to walk away, how to say no, how to choose peace over chaos without apology. That is power, and not everyone can handle it. You were never meant to be consumed by people who fear their own emptiness. You were never meant to be a lifeline for those who keep drowning by choice. It is not your job to carry those who refuse to stand. You can love without rescuing. You can care without sacrificing your soul. Let them call you distant. Let them call you different. The truth is, they were only close to the version of you that didn't know any better. That version is gone, and this one doesn't need approval to breathe. Keep your distance from anything that costs your peace. Detach from what no longer reflects your values. Release the people who treat your presence like it's disposable. You are not hard to love. You were just giving love to people who didn't know what to do with it. Now, you're giving it to yourself, fully, fiercely, finally. And in that decision, everything changes. Not because they see your worth, but because you finally do. And once you see it, you never allow anyone to dim it again. They will test you the moment you stop bending. They will question your silence, your standards, your growth, because it no longer benefits them. People don't like when you stop needing them. They don't like when you start protecting yourself. They liked you better when you were unsure, when you over-explained, when you gave without asking why. But now you move differently. Now you protect your mind, your heart, your space. And that shift threatens everything they thought they controlled. Not because you became someone else, but because you finally became someone real. Someone rooted, someone no longer playing small to make others feel tall. There is a price to becoming untouchable. The cost is comfort. The cost is approval. The cost is being misunderstood by those who are never meant to understand you. You'll be called difficult for being clear, cold for protecting your peace, arrogant for valuing your time. Let them talk. You're not here to live a life filtered through the lens of their insecurity. You're here to rise beyond what used to break you. To carry yourself like someone who finally realizes their value isn't up for debate. That kind of mindset isn't built in noise. It's forged in silence, in walking away without chaos, in refusing to explain to people who already decided not to hear you. There is a power in being alone that most people fear, because it forces you to face your truth. And once you see it, once you learn that your worth isn't tied to who stays, who approves, or who claps, you become unshakable. You start choosing peace over popularity, truth over comfort, standards over attachments. And suddenly, everything changes. Not because the world got better, but because your eyes opened wider. You stop being surprised by betrayal. You stop being wounded by distance. You stop being broken by silence. Because now, you expect nothing from anyone but yourself. You no longer wait for loyalty. You no longer beg for honesty. You no longer chase connection. You observe, you watch. You trust patterns, not promises. You give people space to show who they really are without trying to change them. And when they do, you respond accordingly, not with emotion, but with clarity. You don't need closure when the truth is obvious. You don't need explanations when the behavior already spoke. This is what strength looks like: quiet, precise, and unmoved. You are no longer available to be drained. You are no longer participating in conversations that go nowhere. You are no longer staying in places where your soul feels heavy. The version of you that tolerated that is gone, buried, replaced by someone who knows what it means to choose self-respect, even when it's hard, even when it's lonely, even when it means starting over. And now that you've tasted that kind of freedom, You'll never go back to chains disguised as companionship. You don't need a crowd to validate your journey. You just need the courage to keep walking it, even if you have to walk it alone. When you stop needing people, you start seeing them clearly. The masks fall off. The intentions reveal themselves. You begin to notice who claps only when you're silent, who supports you only when it's safe for them, who shows love only when it's convenient. That clarity is not a loss. It's a gift. It cuts through illusion and brings your focus back to the only relationship that truly determines your future. The one you have with yourself. The longer you wait for others to show up for you, the longer you delay the life that's waiting on you to show up for it. And once you realize no one is coming to save you, something inside shifts. You stop reaching out with desperation and start reaching within with purpose. You've relied on people who were never equipped to carry you. You've placed your peace in hands that only knew how to drop it. That's not weakness. That's conditioning. But now you've broken the pattern. Now you've pulled your power back from every conversation where you begged to be understood, from every connection where you were slowly disappearing just to be accepted. You've tasted enough disappointment to know this truth. Your loyalty must be earned, not assumed. And your time is not a reward for someone else's potential. It's a reflection of your standards. Protect it. People will project their limits onto you. They will try to define you by their insecurities, trap you in boxes that keep you small, label your strength as attitude, and your boundaries as rejection. Let them. You are not required to shrink so someone else can feel tall. You are not here to make others feel comfortable with the greatness you're stepping into. If your growth makes them uncomfortable, that's their mirror, not your problem. Don't apologize for evolving. Don't apologize for healing. Don't apologize for finally realizing that your life isn't meant to be managed by the expectations of others. There will be pressure to return to the old version of yourself, the one who tolerated everything, the one who said yes when you meant no, the one who kept peace at the expense of your own. Don't go back. That version of you was surviving. This version is living. This version doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't entertain what drains. This version walks with intention, speaks with clarity, and protects peace like it's the last thing on earth. You owe no one an explanation for your evolution. You owe no one access just because they once had it. Growth is not a betrayal. Distance is not hate, and silence is not weakness. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay quiet and move differently. Let your actions speak. Let your discipline speak. Let your presence or absence speak. Because when you no longer need to be seen to feel worthy, you become untouchable. When you no longer seek approval, you become unstoppable. That's not arrogance, that's healing, that's self-mastery, that's who you are now. And no one can take that from you again. You don't owe anyone the version of you that broke just to be accepted. You don't owe anyone the silence you once kept out of fear of being left behind. That chapter is closed. That identity no longer fits. Now, your loyalty belongs to your growth. Your energy belongs to your purpose. Your love belongs to the part of you that had to learn the hard way that not everyone who smiles is safe. Some people are drawn to your light, not because they admire it, but because they want to dim it. They see your strength and feel small. They see your clarity and grow uncomfortable. That discomfort is not your burden. It's a signal that you've outgrown what no longer deserves access to you. Every time you lower your standards to accommodate someone's chaos, you betray the peace you've worked so hard to build. Every time you shrink yourself to fit into someone's fragile ego, you disrespect the power you carry. You were not built to live small. You were not created to be a background character in someone else's story. You were designed to stand firm in who you are, to speak truth even when it shakes the room, to walk away when your soul says it's time, even if no one claps, even if no one follows. That's what strength looks like. It's quiet, it's sharp, it's non-negotiable. When people sense you no longer need them, they panic. Not because they care, but because control is slipping. And control for them was always dressed as closeness. They called it love when it was really possession. They called it support when it was really surveillance. But you've learned. You've seen how quickly words fade when actions don't match. You've watched people pretend to care until boundaries expose their intentions. Now you see through it. You don't confront, you disconnect. You don't argue, you exit. You don't seek closure, because the truth was always loud enough. You just weren't ready to hear it. You're ready now, ready to stop just surviving and start thriving, ready to stop tolerating and start choosing. Your time, your energy, your space, they are no longer open to those who come empty, but expect to leave full. You've earned your peace through pain. You've earned your wisdom through wounds. And now that you have both, You're done wasting them on people who refuse to rise with you. Let them stay behind. Let them label you distant, cold, arrogant. That's the language of the uncomfortable. But your life isn't a democracy. It's a declaration that from this point forward, you will honor yourself first. You will trust yourself fully, and you will never again silence your instincts to keep people who were never meant to stay. You don't need a crowd. You need conviction. You don't need company. You need clarity. Stand tall. Move quietly. Keep building in silence. Because when your spirit is aligned, your path becomes undeniable. And no false friend, no hidden enemy, no masked intention can touch you. The ones who once doubted you will one day say they always believed in you. The ones who mocked your silence will claim they admired your discipline. That's how it goes when you rise without permission, when you evolve without needing validation. People rewrite their memory to feel close to your success, but you'll remember. You'll remember who disappeared when you needed presence, who chose convenience over loyalty, who turned their back when you were down only to return when you started to stand. And that memory won't make you bitter. It will make you precise. It will sharpen your discernment. Because now you understand that presence doesn't always mean loyalty, and attention doesn't always mean care. What matters is consistency, alignment, and respect. Everything else is noise dressed in flattery. You have to stop giving weight to voices that once tried to silence you. Stop entertaining explanations for people committed to misunderstanding you. When someone shows you their pattern, don't excuse it, acknowledge it, and move accordingly. Your peace is too valuable to gamble with uncertain intentions. Your time is too precious to spend justifying your worth to those who should have seen it from the start. Every minute you waste explaining yourself is a minute stolen from your progress, from your purpose, from your power. Protect those minutes. Guard them like they're sacred, because they are. You're no longer playing the same game. You've outgrown shallow conversations, empty promises, and transactional affection. You've outgrown environments that reward self-sacrifice but punish self-respect. And in doing so, you've stepped into a rare space where solitude becomes strength, where silence becomes a weapon, and where detachment becomes protection. You're not closed off. You're just no longer wide open to what once destroyed you. That's not arrogance. That's evolution. That's choosing to no longer bleed for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. Let them call it what they want. Let them misunderstand your distance. Let them question your standards. The right people will never be threatened by your boundaries. They'll honor them. They'll respect the fortress you've built around your peace. And the ones who don't, let them stay confused. Their access to you was a privilege, not a right. And once that privilege is misused, it's revoked. Not out of revenge, but out of wisdom. You're building something they can't see, a life rooted in clarity, a mindset forged through fire, a presence that doesn't shake when the room gets cold. You're no longer impressed by noise, no longer moved by surface-level attention. You've seen what happens when you let too many hands hold your heart. Now, you keep it guarded, not out of fear but out of self-respect. You've earned your silence. You've earned your boundaries, and you owe no one an explanation for either. Keep walking, keep rising, keep removing anything that makes your spirit feel heavy. Because where you're headed, peace isn't optional. It's the foundation, and anyone who threatens it has no place in your future. You become unstoppable the moment you stop needing anyone to believe in you but yourself. The moment you stop hoping they'll see your worth, acknowledge your pain, or validate your journey. You stop waiting and start becoming. That shift changes everything. Your power is no longer tied to their opinion. Your peace is no longer a hostage to their mood. You wake up differently. You speak less, but move sharper. You lose the need to explain your silence because you understand it now. It's where you found your truth. It's where the noise died and your clarity was born. And now that you've tasted it, you won't trade it for shallow connections or temporary attention. There's a calmness that comes when you stop trying to fit into spaces that were never built for your growth. You no longer chase the illusion of belonging. You realize that being alone isn't loneliness. It's alignment. It's choosing yourself in a world that taught you to abandon your own voice just to feel accepted. And now, you choose presence over popularity, depth over company, truth over comfort. Because anything less than real is too expensive for your soul. You've learned how to read energy without words, how to hear lies in silence, how to see motives in smiles. You no longer ask questions where patterns have already answered. You no longer beg for effort where consistency is absent. That's wisdom. That's survival turning into awareness. And with awareness comes power. The power to walk away, to set boundaries, to start again without regret. Not because you're heartless, but because you finally have one strong enough to protect itself. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you're no longer the same. That you no longer shrink around people who don't know how to hold space for your light. That you no longer soften your truth so others can avoid theirs. Your strength isn't loud, but it's felt. It's in your calmness when they expect you to react. It's in your stillness when they try to provoke chaos. It's in your detachment when they think they still have access. That's the quiet power that terrifies those who once fed off your chaos. You've spent enough time trying to heal in the same environment that broke you. Now you create new space. Space where your peace is non-negotiable, where your energy is guarded, where your boundaries are no longer a warning. They're a door that only few can enter.